The special preempted AEW Collision Playoff Palooza draws big viewership numbers as well as key demographic ratings for AEW Collision this past Saturday. We'll let you know all the details. Former AEW World Champion Bryan Danielson says he'd choose Tony Khan over Vince McMahon, Eric Bischoff and Triple H to run a pro wrestling company with. There's been a lot of fallout for the spots at TNA Rebellion in the X Division Ultimate X match involving Leon Slater over the weekend. We'll let you know all of the pushback and reaction to that. An update on Julia and Roxanne Perez WWE main roster status. Gunther reacts to his match being confirmed for Backlash against Pat McAfee. Naomi reportedly is currently deciding whether to step away from WWE. And we have an injury update on Buddy Matthews. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of professional wrestling. Before we start, though, you can see right there we're at 21,373 subscribers. So if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe and join the ever-expanding WNU, that being the Wrestle News universe. In addition to that, you can join the members of the WN365 roster. You can scan the QR code right there on the sidebar. You can click the link in the video description or click the join button. You get your badges, your emojis, your exclusive members-only content. And whilst checking out the sidebar, you can see all upcoming watch-alongs live here on the channel for the month of May. Watch-alongs and post-shows that include the likes of WWE Backlash and AEW Double or Nothing. Right, let's get into the news stories this afternoon and begin with big numbers for All Elite Wrestling's Collision episode this past Saturday. Of course, the April 26th episode of AEW Collision was a special AEW Playoff Palooza edition of AEW Collision. And it looks like, once again, following major sports on TNT or TBS is helping AEW boost viewership as well as key demo ratings. Now, of course, it was a preempted airing this past Saturday, that being on April 26th, 2025. The show aired from 8:49 p.m. to 10:49 p.m. instead of its usual time slots of 8 to 10. But it was good news when it comes to viewership and key demo ratings. AEW Collision, that being again once again the Playoff Palooza episode of the show that was taped after Dynamite the prior Wednesday, drew in 707,000 viewers on TNT. Now that is up considerably from last week. It's up 100% from last week's preempted show that drew 353,000 viewers. In terms of the key demographic, the show drew a 0.21 rating once again compared to the prior week. Last week's preempted number was a 0.08, so this week's 0.21 number is up 162% from the prior week. Again, a huge lift for AEW for this special preempted edition of Collision. Now, Collision had the Denver Nuggets versus Clippers NBA playoff game as the lead-in, which averaged 3.387 million viewers and a 1.12 18-49 rating. In terms of total viewership, this is the third highest Collision in the show's history and the highest since July 29, 2023. That's one of the first episodes of the show. Now, it's the highest 18-49 rating since a month prior when Collision had the lead-in from a March Madness tournament game. Now, Collision ranked approximately 4th for the night in the 18-49. UFC Fight Night on ESPN2, which started at 9 p.m., averaged 599,000 viewers and a 0.24 18-49 rating. NHL Playoffs also aired on primetime on TBS, with the Maple Leafs versus Senators drawing 787,000 viewers and a 0.22. That rating game was airing mostly in prime time. But once again, it certainly is good news for AEW Collision in terms of the total viewership versus the trailing 4-week average. It's up 88% in terms of the key demographic rating versus the trailing 4-week average. It's up 110%. So certainly very positive news for All Elite Wrestling. Now, in terms of the quarter-hour ratings coming from WrestleNomics, we don't have those at the time recording this video. Certainly will be very interesting to see. One would expect a very high number when it comes to the first quarter hour, maybe the second quarter hour from that strong lead-in. Of course, we get any more information, we'll let you know in a future video. But what do you make of these numbers? Is this once again showing the synergy between AEW and Warner Brothers Discovery? Let me know your reaction to it in the comment section below. Right, let's talk about Bryan Danielson discussing who he chose to run a pro wrestling company with out of Tony Khan, Vince McMahon, McMahon, Eric Bischoff, Triple H, and Dixie Carter. Now, in a new interview with the Daily Star, covering a variety of different topics, including his retirement status, his AEW status overall, roles that he's doing outside of the ring for All Elite Wrestling, Bryan Danielson was asked who he'd choose to run a wrestling company with out of Tony Khan, Vince McMahon, Eric Bischoff, Triple H, and Dixie Carter. This is what Danielson said, quote, "This is my legitimate answer. People are going to assume that I work for AEW, so, he's just saying that as it's his boss, but I would legitimately have Tony Khan. I think he's very in tune with what wrestling fans want, but he's also a good person. And I'm not saying anything bad about anyone else, but I know he always tries to treat people with respect and kindness no matter where they are on the roster." Now, it wasn't the only thing Danielson had to say in the interview. He also talked about his role on AEW's disciplinary committee. In recent years, it has been reported and later confirmed that Bryan Danielson is a member of All Elite Wrestling's disciplinary committee and played a part in the firing of CM Punk from AEW as a result. While speaking to the Daily Star in this new interview, Danielson discussed being part of AEW's disciplinary committee. He said, quote, "Yeah, who has the perspective of like, okay, so like from the business side, there's two other people on the disciplinary committee. One's a lawyer, one's our chief financial officer maybe, but it has like a very business background, and then we come at it from all different perspectives. I think we're all good at listening to each other and hearing each other's perspectives, and then using those perspectives to weigh and balance whatever the outcomes might be." Now, elsewhere in the interview, Danielson spoke about some of his goals now that he's recovering from neck issues, saying that he may not ever wrestle again as his neck's currently in pretty bad shape. Of course, if we get any more details when it comes to Danielson's health, we'll let you know in a future video. But what do you make of his comments that he would rather have Tony Khan to run a wrestling company with as opposed to Vince McMahon, Eric Bischoff, Triple H, and Dixie Carter? Is he right? Is he wrong? Let me know your thoughts about it in the comment section below. Now, coming out of the TNA Rebellion pay-per-view at the weekend, there was a bit of controversy when it comes to the Ultimate X match. Now, veteran wrestler and WWE Hall of Famer Ricky Morton has criticized a spot from the TNA X Division Championship match that took place at the TNA Rebellion pay-per-view. Now, the X Division Championship match saw the X Division champion Moose defend his title against 5 other competitors. One of the high-flying spots in the match saw Leon Slater climb to the top of the steel beam, which was over 15 feet high as per the commentators, and land a Swanton Bomb-esque kind of move on his opponents who were standing on the outside. Now, such spots usually involve the opponent softening the blow by catching the high flyer, which did not happen this time, as Slater went through the 5 men on the outside and landed on the canvas on the outside. Now, Morton on X, as you can see on the screen, stated that he was disappointed to see Slater drop by his peers and was pleased to see Slater healthy after the nasty fall. He said, quote, "I'm disappointed. Leon gave you his trust and body on the line for an amazing moment, and all of you dropped him. Thank God he walked away. In our business, trust is everything, and his trust may never be the same," Morton said. In the post that followed, Morton advised wrestlers not to agree to do things they aren't comfortable with. However, he also believes the spot could be a teaching moment to all wrestlers, conceding that he too, like others in the business, has made mistakes and doesn't want to single out and blame anyone. Quote, "I will add, don't agree to stuff if you don't feel confident and comfortable. Speak up, I assure you, it won't make you any less of a wrestler," said Morton. "I just genuinely hope that everyone could take something from what happened, learn from it, and focus on fixing what's next. We all make mistakes, myself included, and it's not about blame. We as performers have to consider those moves and actions with others." Now, Moose, of course, in the match successfully defended his title against Slater, Matt Cardona, Casey Navarro, Sidney Akeem, and El Hijo del Vikingo, and is closing in on 200 days with the title. Now, as far as a bit of an update when it comes to Leon Slater, as I mentioned, he did have this incredibly rough landing. However, when he smashed against the floor and he sped his way down, seemingly he was okay. Now, Fightful Selectors reported that Slater appeared to be okay backstage after the match at Rebellion. AJ Francis has revealed on X that Slater told him immediately after the spot that he was okay because he's a Hardy boy. Slater also tweeted, quote, "Thank you everyone that has shown concern or sent a message. I appreciate it more than you know. I live to tell the tale. Moment maker." Now, there has been some heat on Matt Cardona from AJ Francis following the spot, with replays of the moment appearing to show Cardona moving out of the way. After GCW owner Brett Lauderdale commented on the spot, Francis replied saying, quote, "I agree. Now let's point out who ran out of the way upon impact and where they are booked the most." I guess pointing at Cardona and his frequent bookings with GCW. Francis's reply also included a photo with the talents huddled together trying to catch Slater, except Matt Cardona, who was slightly to the side. So what was your reaction to the spot? Let me know your thoughts about it in the comment section below. A bit of an update here when it comes to Julia and Roxanne Perez. While they have made appearances on Monday Night Raw since WrestleMania 41, Roxanne Perez and Julia have not been officially called up to the main roster. Dave Meltzer reported on F4W Online that Julia and Perez are still considered NXT wrestlers. This differs from other NXT talents to appear on the main roster since WrestleMania, notably Fraxium, who have been officially moved to Friday Night SmackDown. Another talent likely to stay on NXT is Stephanie Vaquer, given that she is the current NXT Women's Champion, but she has made appearances on Raw in the aftermath of WrestleMania 41. Julia recently turned heel by attacking the champion, but was unable to win the title back from her in a four-way match at NXT Stand and Deliver. There was confusion over the main roster status of Julia and Roxanne Perez as they wore Raw debut patches from Tops on the Raw after WrestleMania, which suggested they had been officially called up. Tops patches were also used by those who appeared at WrestleMania 41 recently. Now, it was confirmed last night during Raw we're getting a match at Backlash involving former World Heavyweight Champion Gunther and Pat McAfee. Gunther may be absent from television, but that doesn't mean he's unaware of the recent announcement for WWE Backlash. The former WWE World Heavyweight Champion is currently indefinitely suspended following his attack on Pat McAfee, which took place on the April 21st episode of Raw. The suspension storyline took another step forward on the April 28th episode of Raw thanks to Pat McAfee issuing the challenge to Gunther. While the star may not have been there in person to respond, McAfee challenged Gunther to a match at Backlash on May 10th, 2025. Gunther has now reacted to the very notion he'll be facing McAfee via social media, posting two emojis that you can see on the screen right there. WrestleMania 41 saw Gunther lose the WWE World Heavyweight Championship to Jey Uso on April 19th after a 259-day reign. The suspension storyline has written Gunther off television, with the WWE star being spotted in London several times over the last week, suggesting the star is holidaying in Europe. Pat McAfee has a history of WWE matches dating back to 2020, NXT TakeOver 30, and a loss to Adam Cole in August of that year. He would team with Pete Dunne, Danny Burch, and Oney Lorcan to take on the Undisputed Era NXT TakeOver War Games in December of 2020. His first main roster match saw a victory over Austin Theory at WrestleMania 38, followed by a loss to Vince McMahon shortly thereafter at the same event. This would be his only WWE PLE defeat, with victories over Happy Corbin at SummerSlam in 2022 and The Miz at WrestleMania 39 in 2023, completing his singles record at the time of recording. Pat McAfee last stepped into a WWE ring for the men's Royal Rumble match in January of 2024. By contrast, Gunther has been the longest reigning WWE Intercontinental Champion, along with former World Heavyweight Champion, as well as an NXT United Kingdom Champion as well. Now, a bit of an update here when it comes to the WWE future of Naomi. Naomi recently appeared on SiriusXM's The Nikki and Brie Show, hosted by former WWE superstars the Bella Twins. She spoke openly about debating whether to have children and what such a decision would mean for her WWE future. The SmackDown superstar, who is in a relationship with fellow wrestler Jimmy Uso, explained, quote, "My stepkids, they're 16 and 18 now. Jaden is in college, Jayla's next. So we're also like, do we do it? Do we start all over? Or do we just ride this thing out how it is, which is great too. So I never thought I'd be here struggling with this decision. I've always wanted kids young. I always wanted a lot, but now I'm like, oh my gosh, your girl is getting up there, you know, I'm 37. There's no time. I've got to figure this out. Like yesterday, it went by so fast. I can't believe I'm asking myself, struggling with that question, but I'm definitely leaning towards it. I think that makes my time left in WWE even more special and valuable to me, and that's why I'm just so passionate about what I'm doing, because I really think this might be it." Now, on screen, Naomi recently underwent a character shift, turning heel after she was revealed as the mystery assailant of Jade Cargill. This led to a match between the pair at WrestleMania 41, which, of course, Jade Cargill won. And finally, a bit of an injury update here when it comes to Buddy Matthews. Now, Buddy Matthews suffered an ankle injury at AEW Grand Slam Australia when he faced Kazuchika Okada for the AEW International Championship. Matthews rolled his ankle before the match even began, but went on to compete against Okada for over 13 minutes before losing. Speaking to Chris Van Vliet on Insight, Matthews commented on his injury, saying, quote, "It's okay, rolled it pretty bad, had an X-ray, MRI. There was no break, but there was partial ligament tear and cartilage damage. I'm walking, I haven't ran, I haven't jumped. I've just started implementing cardio, but then it kind of stiffens up and, we're working through it. But the docs were telling me I've never seen an ankle roll this much under someone without completely destroying, smashing, disintegrating the bones. So I didn't break a bone, which was incredible, but then I had to wrestle 15 minutes after it. So as soon as I rolled, jumped off and it went, you actually see me go, fuck. Then I go sit in my corner, I'm watching Okada, then I could just feel my boot tightening up and I'm like, oh, obviously I don't know how bad it is, so I'm resting. That was the first time. I've shattered my jaw in a wrestling match. I've had injuries before, but that was the first time in the ring that it got to me in the head. I remember doing the thing at the start, then it started to really sink in, the pain. Then I remember Okada comes up to me and grabs me to whip me to the corner. Rather than just going and listening and being in the moment, I'm like, can I get there? So when I get there, I'm like, I made it, now what's next? Then he just runs and hits me with his elbow. Now I'm 2 steps behind because I'm just worried about whether I could even do it. Somehow I did, and we got through it, and I'm pretty happy with how it came out, considering how hindered I was. Now, I asked if he needed surgery. Matthews replied, quote, "I partially tore the ligaments. I didn't even completely rupture it. So when he redid it, he was like, oh God, when I touched it the last time, it was like, it's going to fall off. I went to my honeymoon afterwards the next day. I was miserable. I'm not letting it get me down." She goes, "Do not get injured in that match." I go, well, technically, I didn't get injured in the match. It's before the bell. Then we spent a week on the Gold Coast, and I wasn't letting her win. She wasn't going to be able to throw that in my face. Remember our honeymoon? You couldn't walk while I was hobbling around. Finally, Matthews was asked when he might return to the ring. He said, quote, "I'm hoping sooner rather than later. I'm obviously going to have to get in the ring and suss it out and get back into ring shape, but I'm hoping in the next couple of weeks, fingers crossed," he said. Now, Brody King has been competing as a singles talent, while Matthews has been sidelined. Of course, we wish him the best in his recovery from his ankle injury. But there you go, guys, the latest pro wrestling news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, as you can see right there. Just turning right now. We're at 21,373 subscribers. So if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe as we get closer to 25k. In addition to that, you can join the WN 365 roster. Links in the video description. You can also scan the QR code when it appears on the sidebar there, or click the join button. You get your badges, your emojis, and your exclusive members-only content. Appreciate everyone that's tuned in, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.